What's happening, everyone? This is a very late night stream, and I don't expect those of you that tuned in earlier to be tuning in now. But for those of you that are unawares, I did a stream earlier this evening. It is just past 11:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I streamed around 8:30 p.m. I have the same setup. Everything that I was using then, I'm using right now. And I'm hoping that this is streaming to you guys. So let me hold on. Where's my stuff? There it is. So I got a ton of phones on my desk here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 cell phones right here in front of me. And I'm using the same setup. The only thing that's changed is where I'm streaming from. So right here, you should be able to see it. This is Rumble Studio. And I'm signaling to YouTube, Twitch, X, and of course Rumble. But yeah, that's it. So the only thing I'm not sending it to is LinkedIn. Those are the 5 services I was streaming to the last one. Again, same setup, Ethernet cable to my computer, the camera arrays is the same, but I was using StreamYard. And the reason I was using it is because, well, I love the interface. I always rely on it to do what I need to do, but the stream was incredibly laggy that once I wrapped, and I wrapped very early because I wasn't intending to go that short, but I was so disappointed in the stream that ultimately I just took the stream down afterwards because I did go back and see if the local recording that StreamYard was doing might have saved the stream. But for some reason, even that was laggy. So when I tell you that I'm literally using the same setup, the only difference is I don't have a second camera. That's why I was using StreamYard, because I could use a second camera to show you everything I have on my desk. So that's the unfortunate part. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. It was bothering me. And okay, so you guys are being able to hear it just fine. And if I have to respond to any of you, I'm going to do so from my cell phone because everything is blocking everything else right now. But anyway, what I'm saying is that I won't be able to show you my second camera. Afterwards, I went to go catch up with the family movie that they were watching. My son's birthday, so he chose to watch Transformers, of course, and I ended up watching it. But as I was watching it, I was also doing my evening workout. That's why I was doing it from the home gym, because afterwards I wanted to do an accountability workout online with my locals community, and that didn't pan out. So it's okay. It worked out in the end. It was better to spend more time with family. But I had already reserved long ago the time to do this stream, only for the stream to crap out. So not everybody's asleep, including you probably, because a lot of you on the East Coast is almost 3 a.m. But I'm doing the do-over. Okay, so this is probably still going to be about a short enough stream, but I'm going to go through this a lot faster. I don't have the distractions I had with the other one because I had all my screens up, but some of them were flickering, some of them were dropping frames. Like, what is happening here? And it was very distracting because so many of you tuned in, and thank you that you liked the stream because you were there for the content more so than watching my face, just jitter and stutter and all that. But I thank you for those that soldiered on. I'm going to recap some of the stuff that I already covered, but I'm going to cover basically the topics in order as I addressed them. And so I got my workout out of the way, so that helped me cool down because I was really upset and I was doing upper body strength. So that I use that stress to motivate me. So without further ado, the stream that I originally was doing was in covering, well, are these BlackBerries worth it? Are they worth trying to use a de-Googled phone today? And to address some of you that have been asking questions, particularly over the weekend, because it's a very, very busy weekend with my Unplugged videos, particularly on YouTube, followed by Rumble. I do have some updates regarding Unplugged phone. This is the Unplugged phone, and I have the ballistic nylon case on it. And other updates that I have are kind of related to the topic, but I'll get to that here in a moment. For those of you tuning in, thank you so very much this late in the evening. I'm going to breeze through this as fast as I can because I got a ton of comments that I wanted to get through. I'm not going to go through all of them anymore, but I will cover as many of them as I can and summarize what I can where I can. So The ones that I wanted to start off with is why I chose to wear this shirt this evening. Some of you might have seen it in previous streams, and I love this shirt. But this is a moisture wicking shirt, so it's meant for the gym, which is why I'm at my home gym. And after the previous stream, I did work out, but now it's been a while. And before I go, call it a night, I wanted to get this out of the way because I wanted to test to see what went wrong. Because I messaged Streamyard. Streamyard, is it your side of the issue? Because if this Rumble Studio works better than StreamYard, well, StreamYard, we got to talk. So I did reach out to them, and hopefully they'll respond by the morning because they're pretty quick to respond. But anyway, so the reason I chose to wear this shirt is because over the weekend, for those of you on YouTube, and I know most of you watching right now on Rumble, I'm seeing the ticker on Rumble go up. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. But for those of you over on YouTube, for the first time, you saw something that I never posted there. Because for the end of the month of May, I decided to post videos last week that were all related to anyone that's on the topic of military. So for the service members that have been on my program, veterans that served honorably, those that are dealing with the VA, I did post those on YouTube, and in some cases were replays. And I chose strategically the ones that YouTube wasn't really promoting, so to speak. And naturally, because a lot of you are new around here, some of you were checking that stuff out. But there was one particular video that I saved towards the end of May. And if you didn't know, May is Military Appreciation Month. So I purposely saved this because for those of you on Rumble, if you go over to my channel page, and even if for some of you that follow me as my user, there's at least 84 of you that found my user before I made it private. I have pinned there the entire film of 13 hours. So if you want to see the ultimate DVD commentary, as I call it, I had one of the heroes of Benghazi, sniper that was on the rooftops, and one of the CIA targeters that was stationed there, Sarah Adams. They were both on my program, and we commentated the entire film. And I'm glad they were on because I come from the American public side. I saw all the calamity happen in terms of the political cover-up. But it wasn't just that. It was just the reactions that always happen from the left and the right with respects to Benghazi on any topic, on any medium. So when the movie 13 Hours came out, it was marred by politics, despite there not being any politics in it. So that movie didn't do well at the box office. So I came with that perspective. Meanwhile, you have one of the heroes of that evening to come with a POV from his perspective about what transpired that night. And then you have the POV from one of the CIA targeters who that morning, Sarah Adams, aka Superbad, ended up the morning of the attack. She was called to, I believe it was England. So the next morning, just to find out the entire world got turned upside down for her and her friends. It's like, what? So then she was back in Tripoli just not too long after that to begin the investigation as to who did this. So I talk about Benghazi. It has nothing to do with any of the main topics on my show. It has nothing to do with real estate. It's got nothing to do with tech. But I talk about it just because of the political nonsense that happens, because it doesn't matter, the left and the right, whenever they can, have campaign on it. And despite all these committee hearings, despite all these investigations in the case, and then who was at fault or whatever, lock her up, say the right, or the left says it's a YouTube video. Both of them don't get it. They'll fundraise off it, but they do not give a damn about Benghazi. And we are paying the price for it right now. Our security right now in this country, because of our open borders and a lot of those terrorists that attacked our consulate that night, our makeshift consulate was really a missions compound called the Villa, and then the CIA annex 1 mile away. Those people were still out there, and then they inspired others, and some of them are in more senior ranks, those that are still alive, and some of them were caught at the border too. So that hasn't changed. They only got emboldened, and we are paying for the Taliban now. The enemy that our soldiers were fighting 20 years, we're paying them now. Weren't they beheading our people? Oh my goodness. See, so there's a lot to be said about Benghazi, and I talk about it because it's to me, I had a personal, I don't know why, I had a personal connection to it for some reason. And now I really have a personal connection to it because the first major interview that I did that was beyond my sphere of what I cover on this show was with one of the survivors of Benghazi, Mark Osgeist. If anybody's seen 13 Hours, he's the one that gets his arm blown off pretty much. So he was on my program, Memorial Day 2021. And to connect with all the rest of the survivors of the heroes of that night, except the one that he never broke cover, aka Jack Silva, played by John Krasinski in 13 Hours. I do have a feeling he follows me though because everybody else does. But he's the only one I had never been able to personally connect with. But I connected with the other four. So that's Oz, Boone, Tonto, Tig, and then there's Jack. He's the other survivor because there were six guys there. Then there was the seventh that came from Tripoli, several hundred miles away, and he's the one that also dies in the mortar. Shells come down shortly after he arrives there. But anyway, that's all to say that I did the entire stream of the film, and that was a Rumble exclusive. For those of you on Rumble, it's only here. You can go to my page, check it out. I think it's about to hit 1,000 views finally, criminally underwatched. But for those of you that are really curious, even if you've seen the movie, you'd be shocked to find out not only did Michael Bay do a phenomenal job. This is Michael Bay we're talking about. My son's watching Transformers, and that could not be more Michael Bay, right? Like, what the heck is going on? And then in contrast to 13 hours and just the care that he took in making this film, despite the fact that all the controversy that will ultimately arise over it. Well, that's all to say, in finding out that the film is less dramatic than the real thing, it's mind-boggling. And we cover a lot of that in our commentary over 13 hours. So I recommend you check that out. It's up on Rumble. So I clipped out part of the intro before watching the film, and then some of the outro after we watched the film, where we did some commentary, and I put it up on YouTube. So nobody's ever seen it before. So I dropped it at the end of May, which was last week on Friday. And the first comment that I got on it was, "You're still talking about Benghazi? What next? Monica Lewinsky?" And I responded by saying, if you had seen the clip that I posted, it was about 20-minute or so clip, you would not have made that comment. And that just goes that it's still just such a political football. I wanted to have he was a former ambassador to Libya. And no, not ambassador, sorry. I know he was a liaison of some sort, but I would have liked to have him on my show. He unfollowed me on X because I did get his book. He started following me. We didn't see eye to eye on certain things, and he stopped following me. I would have liked to have him on because I wanted to at least talk about his harrowing experience. He wrote a book about Benghazi and published it last year, and I was very disappointed that despite the first half being really good because it's his personal experience of that night in Benghazi of the attacks. He was supposed to be there at the missions compound where Christopher Stevens was, but the dinner was canceled at the last minute. And thank God, or else imagine what would happen to him. But the other half of the book, wow. It's like, dude, this could not be more Washingtonian politics. So that's why I still talk about this. That's why I covered on my show. That's why I pinned part of it on my YouTube channel. For those of you that are familiar, if you land on my YouTube page, you'll see I highlight Benghazi most of all, because it doesn't matter that I deal with real estate. It doesn't matter that I deal with tech and other life things. This is still prevalent in many people, and it affects every single one of us because it's our safety, it's our security, and this administration. And not just them, it's our intelligence agencies going back at least a decade have done nothing about what transpired that day, and we need justice for Benghazi. So I did cover that in my initial stream, but just not that passionate and not to that degree. And so far, as I've been covering, the stream has been considerably better, and I have been viewing it on my other user here on my phone. So it's like, dude, what the heck happened to StreamYard? Come on, because there's some things that StreamYard has that Rumble Studio doesn't, but Rumble, thank you for coming to the rescue, because this helps trying to shoot it again the next time. So anyway, I was going to go over some comments here, and it has a little bit to do with the topic of de-Googling phones. And then the questions become, is it worth to use something like this? And this commentary is a little bit inspired by another YouTuber. Her name is Laura. I have a hard time pronouncing her last name, but let me pull this up. Where is your name? It disappeared from here. Crap. Hold on. Dude, I had everything ready. And now it just disappeared on me. Thank you for... Look, there it is. Freaking YouTube reset it again. Where's my history? Laura, what's your face? Okay. Laura Malvoyante. I hope I said that right. She's a new YouTuber, or at least new to the space. And she started doing some videos on being, I guess, digitally minimalistic. So what she decided to do was on her Pixel 8a was just remove as many apps as possible and just reduce it to the bare minimum so she could have a more digital balanced life. And that's a good approach. And I've done it before too. The thing is that if she's looking to take care of her privacy and things, that really doesn't change. It doesn't matter how minimal she is. Those services are still leeching off her behavior or whatever she's inputting into the phone and things like that. So part of it was inspired, or at least this commentary, is because she ended up showing off a BlackBerry Q10 on her stream. And she did an entire video just on this because, like, well, she's trying it out in 2024. And for the analytics, for those of you on YouTube, you guys really love anything I've ever had to say or cover about the Porsche P9983, which is basically the luxury version of the Q10. They both have the same specs, except for this one having more onboard storage. But other than that, everything else is the same, just way more premium features. Titanium frame, if I'm not mistaken, carbon fiber back. Oh my goodness, the feel of this on the hand. Not to mention the very I guess customized. I can't show you the wallpaper here, but the customized theme that Porsche did on this one and the unboxing experience. Believe me, this was the phone to get. Okay, I did get the P9982, which is the luxury version of the Z10 or Z10 to our neighbors to the north in Canada. I do have the Z30 here as well. And what else? What else do I have? The classic, and of course, because it might as well, the key one, which is the first non-BlackBerry made BlackBerry made by TCL. So I share this with you all because the question became does it make sense to even bother using a BlackBerry nowadays? A lot of you actually have that question, but it's not just that. It's more along the lines of what some of the comments that some of you have been leaving on my videos, particularly over on YouTube. A lot of you have said, some of you, not a lot of you, some of you have said that privacy is overrated. That's a summary, basically, because the question becomes, if you're not doing anything bad, if you got nothing to hide, then what does it matter? Okay, that's more of a govern me harder, daddy kind of position. And then there's the other perspective where it doesn't matter because as soon as you get into the bootloader of the unplugged phone, you can wipe the data. Well, at least they didn't steal it. But those two perspectives are kind of the horseshoe, okay? Because I like what Ryan Patterson, the CEO of Unplugged, said in our interview. Check it out if you haven't done so already. When we were talking about this very thing, when the Patriot Act was being considered, remember, this was under the Bush administration, and we had a Congress that was Republican controlled. And the Patriot Act was presented. The ones that were concerned back then were the Democrats, the Silicon Valley types, the elites, the leftists. They were concerned about government surveillance. But once the administrations changed, Obama kept extending it and adding it or making it more powerful. And so as under Biden, Trump didn't do anything about it either. So if they keep renewing the Patriot Act or strengthening it, it just came to the very conclusion that it doesn't matter who. You give a mouse a cookie, in this case, the government, they're going to want a glass of milk. I've opposed the Patriot Act since it was first mentioned. I woke up to all this tracking nonsense because of the movie Enemy of the State, 1998, filmed by Tony Scott, starring Gene Hackman and Will Smith. Phenomenal thrill ride. Check that out. And that was before the age of smartphones. You can track individuals using metadata. And hold on, I need to change the window here. Okay, here we go. And for those of you that are very aware of this, when it comes to following a metadata, or you're not aware of this, I actually have a post that was censored by YouTube, but the audio version is okay for some reason. But you can find it on Rumble. You want to see the visual one of a TED Talk that was done. For some reason, this TED Talk does not exist on YouTube. All the other TED Talks do. This is back in 2010, where this guy does have a speech impediment, but he does present one of the most harrowing things in tech I've ever seen. He was presenting I think it's T-Mobile, but in Europe, Deutsche, whatever. You guys might know this. It's T-Mobile, but the actual name from Europe. And he was trying to get his metadata back from his carrier, which they ended up keeping for him. And he presented the series, the binary, the zeros and ones on the screen, and just showed you how much tracking is done at the metadata level. The very thing that the media said couldn't be done when the documentary by Dinesh D'Souza, 2000 Mules, came out. No, it's a real thing. And then you could do geofencing and all that, well, whatever. But that's a whole other thing. Still, if privacy and security shouldn't be a concern, it's overrated because I got nothing to hide. Well, let me ask you this. For those of you that say it's not a concern, do you still lock the doors to your car? Do you still lock the doors to your home? Do you close the shades? Do you change out of view of the public or even in your own home? Do you close the door when you go use the restroom? Do you cover yourself after a shower? Do you walk outside with clothes unless you're in the nudist community? So then the question is, why don't you care? Because apparently you do. I don't have to feel digitally naked when I'm out on the internet, but that is what it feels like when you have all these things prying on your everyday life, knowing what you're doing, how you're doing it, establishing a pattern of these things. Okay. And it's incredibly creepy how much Meta does with our data, far beyond Google, even though Google's got its tentacles spread out even more than Facebook, I feel. But at least they give you some control over your data. So, what is wrong with people trying to get control of your data? Not everybody has the technical know how to de-Google a device if that device is capable of being de-Googled. And the simplest ones, because the Nexus project no longer exists, the spiritual successor of the Pixel devices, those are the ones that are easier to de-Google. And there are certain privacy OSs that are easier to sideload onto the phone, onto the phones. Why not? What's wrong with it? Why do you have to take everything out on companies like Unplugged to say that it's all bull, don't buy it, a snake oil or whatever? There are snake oil salesmen in this space, and I've called them out. But I believe that Unplugged has done so much to try to win the public's trust over what they're doing that they're worth giving them a shot if you're interested. And a lot of you have messaged me. Some of you have emailed me too. Thank you. I'll get to your emails as soon as I can. But for those of you that have messaged me, that told me, like, thank you for your videos. I've studied your videos. I checked everything out. I checked their website out. You checked your interviews and all that. And some questions that you asked of me that I answered. Some of you had gone on to say you're going to buy the Unplugged phone. And good, try it out. And it's my job to try to help you out with certain questions you might have. It's not just related to the Unplugged phone, but to the Google devices. But some of you have gone to the extreme and said, can you use a BlackBerry? It's like, well, the answer is yes, but no. And because I don't have the other camera, I was showing off while I was talking. I was doing hand demonstrations and sideloading applications. I was updating them. All these devices, while they are running BlackBerry 10.3.3 point something else, not every one of them have the same serial number, but they're all running the same Android environment runtime, or the Android runtime environment. And the one that has the best experience of them all is the BlackBerry Z10. This one is running, where is it? Come on. Let me get the serial. Software 10.3.3.2129. This one's running a newer one, 2137. This is the classic. The Porsche design is running the even newer one, 0.3216. The reason these serial numbers are important, because for those of you that are interested in still getting a BlackBerry device, technically you can still buy them. And if you can find the autoloaders, like on crackberry.com or some other forums, maybe XDA might have them. If you don't know what that is, it's literally like sideloading an OS, but it's just a lot easier. That's why it's called an autoloader. It's a zip file. You connect your BlackBerry to it, and all it does is just sideload the software, but it wipes the memory completely. The only problem is you no longer have access to the BlackBerry App Store. There technically is a way to try to get them. I just don't know if those tools might still work. There's Sachi Tech. That's one way to try to sideload. BlackBerry Playbook. It was a DDPB. It was a Chrome extension. I have not been able to successfully use it anymore. So your mileage may vary. And there's one more, I can't remember off the top of my head, but these are the ways that you can try to side load the applications that are called bar files. There is a website where you were able to upload an APK file, an Android file, convert it to a bar file, and side load it onto the phone to try to get some of those applications working. Like, for example, one app that was never in the App Store, and if this works, it'll be awesome. It was actually an app ported over from HP Touch. Do you guys remember that tablet? That was a long time ago. It's called Apollo. It was a third party, what's that thing called? Third party WebOS app for Pandora. And I'm trying to turn it on right now. It's very slowly loading. That's one of the downsides about this stuff, is that it's painfully slow. Oh, I better stop that before I get docked. It still works. This is Pandora, the Apollo app, and it still works on my Z10 or Z10. That's why I never deleted it, because it doesn't have any ads. I'm signed in with my account, but it doesn't have any ads. But I have not been able to successfully install it on my other ones when I try to sideload them. Or maybe I did. Let me see. Do I have Apollo? I don't see Apollo on my Z30. But it's pretty cool that it still works. But here's the thing about all of that I was showing you. While technically it's running the latest version or the last version in existence for BlackBerry 10 OS, those last little digits like 3216 do make a big difference, because they all have an Android runtime experience or environment of Android 4.3s right before KitKat. I wish they had updated to 4.4 KitKat, because then you could have used the Microsoft Office suite of apps on these phones. But here's the problem with all this, because I do have F-Droid installed on my Z30. I could not get F-Droid to launch on any of these other ones. Some of them I was able to successfully sideload it, but they never open. And other ones, they didn't even install. It says parsing error. So it really sucks that it's either the hardware, of which a lot of these are the same, or that software version is enough to not let those apps run. But for some reason, and I'm loading up F-Droid here on the Z30, there it is, F-Droid, and it tells me I have some updates. And what I showed in my stream that I took down, for those of you tuning in, thank you very much. I had a stream that I did that I had ended up taking down because I had streaming issues. I have the entire same setup. The only difference is, if you can see right here, I am using Rumble Studio, whereas the previous stream I was using StreamYard, and I was streaming to all the same platforms: Rumble, YouTube, X, Twitch, and in the other one streaming, I was also streaming to LinkedIn. So I did reach out to StreamYard, say, hey, look, this was a failure of a stream. Not the first time even, but the entire setup is the same. The only difference is I don't have a second camera that I could show you everything that's going on here. I wish I did, but I don't. That's why I was using StreamYard. But anyway, there's some app updates here, and they're painfully slow. There was a way that I skipped some of the security checks. I don't recommend it, but if you're familiar with it, sideloading an app on Android, it'll do like a scan of it. Are you sure you want to allow unknown sources to be installed on your phone? That kind of thing. The BlackBerry phone would always scan them. So you can download or sideload an APK onto a memory card, try to install it, and then it'll virus check it. Then it'll give you that warning. Then it'll go to processing. Then it'll start loading, and then it'll say, hey, accept or don't. And then it'll go to finish processing, and then you can load it. And depending on how big the file is, that could be 5 minutes, that could be 10 minutes per application. That is exhausting. So I did show that on the stream to see how painfully slow it is to get applications installed because of how old the hardware is. And I think part of it might have been also the Android runtime. But here is what I mean. This BlackBerry Classic is running 10.3.3.2137. This one, I could not get the, what's the thing called? I could not get F-Droid installed. But what I do have is the Amazon App Store. So let's see how long that takes to load. So waiting. When it comes to the BlackBerry Classic and the BlackBerry Q10, which is the first generation of BlackBerry 10 OS devices, and also to the extension, the luxury version, which is the Porsche Design P 9983. I'm just going to call it Porsche Design for short, okay? So this, the Classic, and the Q10 technically all have the same internals. They are running, and I have them here. I pulled them up. I didn't have these ready for the previous stream. They are both running a the Snapdragon S4, the Qualcomm Snapdragon S4. They both have the same camera. They both have 2 gigabytes of RAM. Same battery size capacity, except that the Classic has a bigger battery. But the Porsche design and the Q10 are both hot swappable with the same ones. This is the same battery on the Q10 as it is on the Porsche design. The difference is that the entire back cover of the Porsche design comes off. I have the carbon fiber and I have the red leather. I don't know if it's alligator leather. It's supposed to be, but see, it all comes off in the same battery. But the only difference is that the clock speeds on this, so the processor is clocked at 1.5 gigahertz. That's the same as it is on the Z10. The difference is that the Z30 has a 1.7 because it was running a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 Pro. So it does make a difference in launching applications when you have a more powerful processor. The best experience, though, was the BlackBerry Passport. That one has 3 gigabytes of RAM. I don't know what the processor was at, though. It might have been also 2 gigabytes. I could pull it up here, too. But I don't want to get too distracted by that. But the thing is, I installed here an update through Amazon App Store for Skype. Now let's see if I can open it. I'm going to click open. It crashed. Before the update, I could open it. Now I can't. And this is from the Amazon App Store. And when you launch the Amazon App Store, which you can still get, and you can update it to the latest version that Amazon is willing to support, Android 4.3, you're going to get this message. Your device is running on Android 4 or an earlier version. To ensure access to the Amazon App Store and your apps, update your device to Android 5 or a more recent version of Android. So in other words, it's a built-in obsolescence. And over here, despite it showing me like Instagram and Google search, it won't install Instagram. It say it's not compatible with the device. I do have Instagram Lite installed on my Z10. I could not get it to operate anymore. It says it needs an update, and then whenever I try to update it, it says it won't load. Back then, the BlackBerry browser was the best thing on any platform. It sucks now. So if you're able to get your hands on, it's called Evolution Browser. This is the better way to experience native browsing on BlackBerry, but it can be painfully slow to load. So I'm going to do an example. This is where I wish I did the camera. I could do it like this. This is what I miss about this touchscreen keyboard, because then the prediction pops up over the next letter and you could just swipe up to type. Let me like this. I'm going to go to my website. I can't even type like this. Dude, I can't type sideways, but there it is. Segovia.com. That's awesome. So 2 swipes, it did it. Let's see how long it takes to load my website. It's a very media heavy site. It's actually pretty quick. I'm impressed. Normally it takes a lot longer, but this is Evolution Browser. It sometimes doesn't really load on, what's the thing called? The other ones, the BlackBerry Z10 or the Q10 or the Porsche design. So it looks like it's loading. I mean, it's still loading because it's a very media heavy site, but it's really hard to get this far. So I'm actually pretty impressed. So that's what I love about Evolution Browser. But let me pull up the Porsche design. The Porsche design, I do have, this is running 0.3216. This one, I have to open it again. I siloed in Mozilla Firefox. Let's see if it'll load up. Okay, there it is. It's loading. Okay, Appreciate Phillips. How is the Unplugged phone? I will get to your question because let me wrap up the BlackBerry discussion, and that is my next topic because I have some updates about it. It's still loading. See, so well, there it is. It's almost done loading on Mozilla Firefox. This is an Android app running on BlackBerry OS, BlackBerry 10 OS to be more precise. So it's still loading, but for the most part, I got the page there. And I don't know if I could. No, I can't. That was a BlackBerry Passport. But that's how painfully slow it is. So the question was, because of the other YouTuber presenting, can you use it in 2024? Technically, the answer is yes, if you just want to do phone calls and SMS. You won't be able to do much else unless you get some of these apps working, if they're patched. My BlackBerry Z10, for example, I still have the patched Google Play Store. You probably won't be able to see it. The battery, I had a fully charged battery as I was doing the stream. And that was just 2 hours ago. The battery's almost dead now. That's how quickly this thing burns out. But I do have the Google Play Store right there from Cobalt. It was patched, and technically I could still access it, but recently it started kicking me out. I would show you that it's kicking me out, but it has some sensitive information, so I'm not going to show you. But it says can't sign into Google. So it tries to get me to sign back in, and it won't do it. Right now it's like glitching. It's saying can't sign in, then it goes to the sign in screen, then it goes back to couldn't sign in. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother. So that's the Z10. Back to the Passport. What was I showing? I mean, the Passport. I missed the Passport. I had the silver edition, and thanks to that video alone got 250,000 views on YouTube, and it kickstarted my YouTube career. It's not a career, it's a hobby. But thank you. But now I'm on Rumble too, and I'll probably be doing more exclusive stuff on Rumble than I am on YouTube because damn the censorship. But I present all this to show you that the example that the Amazon App Store gave you, unless you're able to successfully install the F-Droid store, like I did on this one, and I did update the VLC app that it was showing me, it's saying that the F-Droid app has an update. So let's update in real time, okay? And those will be the last thing, and then I'll move on to the Unplugged phone. So there it is. It's downloading the update for F-Droid. Let's see how long this takes. Okay. So where's the app? Because it is supposed to lead me to the window where it's processing the update. That's what the difference is when you're doing it on a BlackBerry. There's a separate window for it, and that's where it can be exhausting. So, all right. And for those of you tuning in this late, thank you so very much. You're rivaling the ones that were tuned into the painful one that I did earlier. All right, let's see. Did it update? Well, that was kind of like a background update, wasn't it? Let's see. Congratulations, all apps are up to date. Oh, wait a minute. Well, there it is. It's saying that the update, there's an F-Droid has an update. Yeah, I know. We were just doing that. So what's going on? It can be hit or miss. So I'm going to leave this. Oh, wait. No, it went back to the F-Droid store. So maybe it's processing in the background. I'll leave it here on the side and I'll come back to it. But just like the Amazon App Store said, hey, you're running an older version of Android. That's how the carriers get you. Because a lot of these BlackBerries, with the exception of maybe the key one, I think, I don't have a BlackBerry Priv to tell you yes or no. The BlackBerry Priv, I think it's like teetering on it. There was 4G LTE, and then there was 4G LTV. Then let me rephrase. There was 4G LTE. That's how it was built, okay? And then later they called it 4G LTE voice over IP, VoIP. That's the difference. That you can say you have a 4G phone, but because it's not voice over IP, then you cannot use it on the Verizon network. The same thing with the Android App Store for Amazon. It's like, hey, it's too old. They won't support it anymore. That's how they get you. If you have an active SIM, technically you can still keep using it. But if you're carrying a phone and you go to Verizon, for example, or others and say, hey, I want to activate this, like, oh, that's an old phone. We don't support that phone anymore. So the only way to kind of circumvent that will either be the prepaid route. I think Mint and other ones might be able to because they use the older or the throttled networks of the big carriers because they're all just buying data from T-Mobile or access from T-Mobile and AT&T, and to some respects Verizon, depending on which prepaid service or smaller carrier service you're using. Someone asked me, and I'm going to answer this for all of you, does the Unplugged phone work on track phone? So I'll have an answer for you there because someone said that Verizon said they're not going to support the Unplugged phone. That's interesting because I didn't hear that from Unplugged. They're still saying they're waiting for certification. And I'll get to those updates here in a moment. But all this is to say that if you're carrying this to a carrier today, odds are they will not give you an active SIM to it from the major carriers. But you might be able to get it activated from some of the smaller carriers, the independent carriers, that technically still ride the coattails of these other companies. But that could be a way if you want to use the Google device, but you won't be able to get all those apps operating. And when you have BlackBerry servers, the BlackBerry servers are down, therefore BlackBerry services won't work. BlackBerry Messenger is not going to work. BlackBerry email, not going to work. BlackBerry App World, it doesn't exist anymore. So the only way for you to get any of that is either rely on the Amazon App Store that's about to cut you off, or use those third-party Android apps online, or web app stores online, like Up to Down, APK Gold, APK Pure, APK Mirror, and take your chances to see if those might work, but you're compromising the security of your device. So that's my long and short of it. But if you want to live a more minimal life, if you will, then that is the way for you basically to go about it. And yeah, so I think I covered enough of that discussion with respects to you know all this stuff. And for those of you watching on Rumble, thank you so very much. And YouTube, I see some of you have tuned in. I don't know about X, but for those of you on Rumble, you've actually allowed me to participate in a campaign. So I'm using Rumble Studio instead of StreamYard. I might do it. If you're watching and you want to comment, by all means, let me know. I'm switching gears now. I'm going to talk about the Unplugged phone, but this all goes under the umbrella of taking back control of our privacy. So one of the questions was, and I don't know how to throw this up on the screen, but it's in the live chat, by Appreciate Phillips. How is the Unplugged phone? And for those of you unawares, on YouTube and Rumble, I do have a playlist of all my Unplugged phone coverage. And I believe there's more clips in YouTube, but the major videos are across both platforms. I'm trying to bring as many of those as I can to Rumble. Okay, so how is the Unplugged phone? Well, first off, some updates. I did a video called "Do This If You Buy the Unplugged Phone," the first 5 things. And one of them, speaking of F-Droid, was install F-Droid, particularly because the phone itself does not come with a text-to-speech engine, the TTS that's supposed to help the vision impaired or give you voice guidance directions on your map apps. It doesn't come with one baked in. So that's why I encourage people to get F-Droid, because the one that's going to work seamlessly with the Unplugged phone, because it's an open source app store, third-party app store, and the most reliable one at that. And you can also download Aurora Droid. Well, that way you can get something like a TTS engine, so you can have some speech output on the phone. Well, I got called about a day or two after I posted some of these up. The CEO of Unplugged called me directly, and he told me he's been watching everything. And there's some other things that we talked about that I won't reveal just yet. But some of the stuff, like, we're talking about it, and they're watching, they're listening, and if you're watching, Ryan, thank you very much. They ended up adding F-Droid to the Unplugged store. So now if you go to the Unplugged store on the Unplugged phone, of which I have several updates showing up on the Unplugged store, I'm loading it up here. And if I was using StreamYard, I would have the other camera. But you know what? Maybe next time I'll be able to just use one of my phones and add it as a participant. I'll try that. Maybe that'll work. But if I go to search and I type in F-Droid, let's see if it autofills. That's technically not how you spell it, but let me see. F-Droid. It's giving me F-Droid stuff. So they put a lot of stuff from F-Droid here. But let me go to My Apps. And sorry, these are all the apps, and they're out of order. They're not alphabetized. So F-Droid. And I just saw something. I didn't know about this. So this is breaking news for me, at least. But F-Droid is here. And I think they also uploaded the Aurora store. So now you can get the Aurora store, which is the third-party Android app store. You can get all the Android apps. You can now get it directly from the Unplugged store. So this is something new that wasn't there. I didn't see that yesterday or 2 days ago. So they added this pretty recently. But other apps that are in here, most of the Microsoft Office suite is in here. For example, Outlook, OneNote, Microsoft Edge. If you want to use that browser, you can. The Bing has ChatGPT in there. I don't think Copilot is in there, but OneDrive. So basically, a lot of these things are here. What's this one? Microsoft Office 365. Yes, it's in here. Certain Samsung applications, some banking apps, some social media apps. They are here. So you can download them through the Unplugged store. So the experience on the Unplugged phone, and I said this for anyone that asked me on, I did 2 streams on this answering questions about the Unplugged phone. So I'm not going to be able to go through all that because that's like an hour and a half each. So I recommend you tune into those. They should be here on Rumble too. But my experience using the Unplugged phone has been one of the better experiences with the Google devices. So yes, I've used Calyx OS. I use it on my Pixel 4. Yes, I've used Graphene OS, not to the extent though where I tweak it to use Android Auto. There are certain things that you can do with Graphene OS that you can't do on Calyx OS, but that's because of a sandboxed environment for some of the Google Play services that you can do on Graphene OS, but it requires this workaround that I don't have the patience to do. But I like that the option exists. But just like Calyx OS and Graphene OS and the Unplugged phone, there will always be those limitations where you want to find the alternative Google application and you might not find it. The number one question the lots of you keep asking me, can I use YouTube? First off, really? But also I understand. For those of you asking, can you use YouTube? Yes, through the browser. And one of you asked me a very pointed question. Hey, I have YouTube Premium. Can I still use YouTube on my phone? That's the problem. First off, YouTube is not going to open without Google Play Services framework on any Google device. So the answer is already no, because you won't even be able to get the YouTube app. You can use it as a bookmark to the homepage so you can launch the browser quickly and you could sign in through your browser. So how you use it on your computer is how you use it on your phone. And I've used it fine. Now, should I mention this? This is called LibreTube. This is YouTube. Oh, look at that. The Under Segovia show. Nice. This is YouTube. And it's an open source software that's available on F-Droid. So you can try it out for yourself if you so like to. You can sign in if you want to. But this is loading up YouTube. And I don't think you'll see any apps or ads on it. There it is. Yep. Okay, lower one there. Yeah, I have it like 2 speeds or whatever. But you can find open source alternatives to this. Some of them glitchy, might be hit or miss. But in terms of like, if you use YouTube Premium, that means you're probably using YouTube Music. What I do is on the Android app, which is I'm happy that the browser they chose for Unplugged phone is the Firefox app. The browser, because preloaded. You can always do like install web applications. Some of them, not all of them, progressive web apps that you can install. I use YouTube Music as a progressive web app, so it does work. That's one way to go about it. But YouTube only through the browser. I hope that answers the question. I answered it on the comments, and I need to throw it out there. And so I appreciate Phillips. I hope I answered your question there with respects to what it's like to use the Unplugged phone. Let me take it off the case because I'm using it with the case. The case makes it look like a brick because this is the ballistic nylon case. I have the clear case, and it is wearing a tempered glass screen protector that I did take off. So now, I got some bubbling on underneath because I try to put it back on. I have a new one, but I don't want to install a new one just yet. So I really like that it does have stereo speakers. The back has like this fingerprint resistance coating. That doesn't mean you can't get fingerprints on it. You can get it dirty if you really want to, but for the most part, it really rejects them. So it never looks smudgy and ugly like some of the glass phones, back phones. Some of the Pixel phones have a frosted glass back, so it does a really good job in hiding the fingerprints. But when you get like a black or dark color, those fingerprints are going to be very evident. And this is like I think it's called Phantom Gray or Privacy Gray. I expected to see ugly fingerprints, and it does a fantastic job at hiding them. So kudos. This was actually very thoughtfully designed, despite some similarities to others. And thank you. I just saw I appreciate Phillips. Yes, I did. I answered it. Great. Thank you very much. And if you are interested, you can definitely check out some of my other videos that I've done on the subject. Some people have expressed that my review is very thorough, in depth. And it's not quite what they're looking for. So I encourage people. It's like, well, that's why I put the chapter breakdowns on. Rumble doesn't do like the timestamps yet, but the first pinned comment on my review is the entire breakdown. I broke into three sections. The first section is explaining what the Google devices are, because some people don't know what they are. They think, oh, there's a whole new OS. No, this is Android. Android at its basic, okay? And people just don't get it because they're used to Google on top of Android. Android is the foundation software for many things out there. But I really wish we still had WebOS. I really wish we still had BlackBerry. As you can probably tell that I have all these things here, and I have the key one that I didn't show you. This is an Android device, but the first BlackBerry built not by BlackBerry. The only Android device built by BlackBerry was the BlackBerry Priv, but unfortunately, it runs the Snapdragon 808 processor with 3 GB of RAM that overheats, and it's just it can be a messy experience. What? Okay, my timing is just about the same length as when I ended the stream on the other one. I'm going to go for a few more minutes now, and I want to wrap up a few things. Shout out to Jason Blunt. I got your email, so if you're watching, I will respond to you. It's in my queue. But you did chime in on some of my videos over the weekend, particularly on YouTube, and I like. This is the last one that you commented on the interview I did with Ryan Patterson. You said, such a great discussion, so relevant in today's society. Thanks, gents, and thank you for taking the time to watch my videos. Some other ones here. That's the same one. If these phones don't use Google Apps, can a person watch YouTube on it? And I answered that question with respects to how you watch YouTube. It's through the browser. But again, there might be some open source alternatives to what you might be looking for. And in the case of the F-Droid store, I did find LibreTube, and I did find, I think there's a YouTube Music one too. I think it's SMPM, something like that. I should look at my phone. It's in there. Yeah. And someone asked me how I got to unlock the screen, like picture unlock. It's not a picture unlock. It's just a picture, and because it's supposed to be the background from the X-Band show. It's called a terminal. That's what they call their phones. And that's the background look. It's an awesome wallpaper. It just looks like I do, but no, it's not. I have the fingerprint scanner, and that's how I launch it. So yeah. So no, I didn't change the lock, but you can change the look and feel of the lock screen, because that's how awesome Android is. So you can have those alternatives. And you know what? It's late. Why not try this? I've never done this. So accept and start. Okay, Rumble. So since you're offering, this is where I'm going to plug in Rumble, because hey, StreamYard, it hurts, but I'm on Rumble. I'm going to be doing more exclusive stuff on Rumble. So make sure you download the Rumble app, and once you download it, search for my channel and follow the channel directly on the app. This will make sure you get a notification every time I go live. Click on the link in the description or pin live chat to download the Rumble app on your phone. It's free. If you prefer to watch us on the big screen, it's also available for Apple TV. That's true. Android TV, also known as Google TV, Fire TV, Roku, LG, and Samsung TVs. All you need to do is search for Rumble. Okay. All right. So let me pin that too. For those of you that are interested, I'm going to pin it to the live chat. I think I could do that from Rumble Studio. I've never done it before, but definitely download it. This one's going to be the rumble.com Android. And here we go. All right, let's not have to go to the Rumble page itself. Let me mute this. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm experimenting tonight, because why not? It's the first time I'm doing a read. So can I? Yeah. Pin this message. There, it is pinned. Okay. So since that's pinned, I wonder if I can. There it is. I wish the no, your live responses over on the screen here as easily as I can on what's the thing called? The Stream. And Rumble did say that now you can do like a bypass, or you can add the R uh, stream it as a participant, so you can stream from Rumble Studio at the same time. having the thing called StreamYard as the setup. That's interesting. I've not been able to get it to work. I've been experimenting since last week, so it didn't work. Yeah, and I'm gonna go on for a few more minutes here. This is this is a much stronger stream than it was with, StreamYard. So and a lot of you are tuning in. You're like, "Where the heck are some of you guys?" This is crazy. It's been late. Alright, I got duplicate messages now. Mhm. Okay. Alrighty, let's see. Oh, yes, this was a discussion that I had about the unplugged phone. So someone messaged me over the weekend, said, "This Qman762 over on YouTube. One of the guys who had this phone made says it's made by Sony and has the same camera as iPhone. That's why it looks familiar. Keep investigating so we can know if it is legit." Mm, did it right the first time? Because this time I'm having issues with okay. So I responded by saying, "Thanks for watching my video. I reviewed the phone here," and I put the link. "You'll find your answers there. By the way, cameras are not built by Sony. They're reportedly censored from Samsung, according to specs they sent me." To which then I was responded to, in this case, Jason Blunt responded by saying, "It is a Sony camera." To which I responded to I say Jason Blunt because I believe that's the user, but it's Jason B4988 and responded, they say it is a Sony camera, and I responded saying, "They gave me their full specs, I'll ask them to clarify." So, yeah, I'm gonna ask, now it's a two-part question I'm gonna have to ask Unplugged, because first off, I like being accurate with information, and I've done as extensive research as I can on the company, on the individuals. Eric Prince, the man behind the entire project, he saw my video. Those of you that are unaware, he saw my initial video that I typed was exclusively on Rumble first before I did an edit for him 2 days later called The Unplugged Phone, and that video was from March, okay? Eric Prince saw that video, told this is the CEO telling me. Eric Prince told the CEO in his company, "Sit down, watch Andres's video." Really? And you can hear it in Ryan's own words in the interview towards the end, he has a word in this and says they had to overhaul their entire website. The feedback they got from my video because, yes, it was constructive criticism, but at the same time, it was skepticism because I didn't know who the heck they were. Yeah, there's some big names attached to the whether someone was involved in Benghazi, like just always, or someone was involved in the government to some extent, like Ryan Patterson, CEO, or Eric Prince himself from Blackwater. So these are names that are synonymous with people that should be familiar with government tracking and surveillance and all that. But they're not exactly the ones that concern me. The ones that concern me are the big tech corporations, the oligarchs. They're the ones that simplify. They're way ahead of the government on any of these things. They quite literally run the government. Did you know that I believe it was Amazon Web Services, they have 80% of the web, and it was them versus Microsoft that were vying for the entire Pentagon Department, um, of Defense infrastructure. That's not government made. So, yeah, my concern is with big tech, because after what happened on January 6th, what did big tech do? They're like, "Oh, yeah, you're the people, you don't have to subpoena us, we'll just give you the information." What happened, Apple? What happened to the days where there was an attack in San Bernardino that's not too far from where I am, and FBI was saying, "We need access to the terrorist phone," and Apple said, "Oh, we can't do that. No privacy." Well, flip. Well, for someone like me that abandoned BlackBerry because of BlackBerry went by the wayside. I ended up, and because real estate is actually very biased towards iPhones, I ended up getting an iPhone because of it. Well, Apple, but I ended up going with it. And after that, what happens? Apple is notorious for spying on you, and they're screenshotting everything you're doing. These cameras, wherever they are, they're all looking at you, whether it's your Mac, your iPad, your phone. And the Apple Mesh Network, this was a topic I didn't cover on the screen because I had it short. Google officially rolled out theirs. I got the email 2 days ago. I posted about it on my socials. I'm gonna talk about this because Google announced it, in April, and they're rolling it out, and now I finally got the rollout. If you're not familiar with how Apple AirTags work, be ready to be scared crapless. I try not to curse. I think because that's not language that I use. Sorry, I need some water there. Okay, if you're not familiar with how AirTags work, this is the ultimate mesh network. It's really cool to use continuity on Apple. If you get a phone call on your phone, or let's say you watch and then you pass the phone call, then you pass the phone call to the iPad, then you pass the phone call over to your Mac, and all the while you're wearing your AirPods and you never have to disconnect and repair the the AirPods because it's all just transferring. Believe me, awesome. And the closest experience Android has is Samsung with the Samsung Buds, with the Samsung tablet, which I have, with the S24 Ultra that I'm using as my primary driver, with Galaxy Watch. It is really awesome. It's the closest thing that you'll get as an Apple experience with Samsung or through Samsung on Android. But the way the mesh network works, when you start introducing something like an AirTag, you've heard the news. Have you seen this happen? Rideshare where some people are getting out of the car and then some nefarious actors are getting into the car, but they drop an AirTag into, like, a bag or something, and that's how they're able to track that person down back to their homes. But that AirTag didn't belong to the person that's the victim because all of it's communicating to Apple in what is called the mesh network. Well, Google wanted in on the action. So, that's what they rolled out. It's no longer of, Android Find My Android, whatever it's called, Find My Device or Find um, what do you guys call it? Oh, Find My Device from, Android, and there's an entire section on what they call how Find My Device protects your data. So, by default, roll and it updates in the background, you are part of the participating in a network. So, they have a screenshot here. There. Let me go here. Alright, this is gonna look like for you. And yes, I am viewing the screen. I wanna make sure it's running. It says you can either turn it off, you can be without network. What that means is you can only find your devices, but by default, it says with network in high traffic areas only. Locate using stored recent locations or the networks in areas like airports or busy footpaths. What the heck is that? It's connecting to other Android devices. That's what, Android is doing with billions of phones now because everybody has it out there, and all they had to do was a flick of a switch. You don't have to get the newest device. They're rolling it out. I don't know what Android version is minimum, but it's when you participate in the network. Yeah, but you by force set this for me. And then there's the network in all areas, so they'll always be tracking. So this is how you find your missing Android device. You can ping your Google Speaker. I hope that one's turn on because you have to use it. And you talk to it, and it'll just start out here and there. This is what they're doing. They're creating their own mesh network, but Apple's is still worse though. Did you know that even Androids are part of the Apple mesh network? I don't have the app on me because I wasn't intending to talk about this, but if you search for it, AirTag, I think it's called AirTag App Tracker for Android, then you can install it and find out if your device is part of the Apple mesh network. Because yes, Apple uses certain Androids to track down iOS products, Mac OS products, and stuff like that. You guys have been part of it and didn't even know. That's when you gotta pay attention to these things, folks. So kinda going back to the questions or the expressions that I've received from some of you on Rumble and YouTube, privacy is overrated. You know, hide. It's not about hiding. You still wear clothes when you go outside. It's not about being socially accepted. Because if you wanna rebel, why don't you take off your clothes if you're a freaking nudist? But it's not a nudist community. You'll still wear clothes, you'll still lock your doors, you'll still search some privacy when you're changing. You're not changing in front of people, are you? That would be bizarre. But what I'm getting at is you have a semblance of personal space. Why does that not apply to the digital life? Why does it only apply to person like physical? You're much more personal. You're much more private with whatever you're communicating. Your innermost thoughts are probably jotted down in some diary somewhere and is stored in the cloud being read by someone else's computer. It's scanning everything. For those of you on iPhone, you wanna freak out, go to your Photos app. Did you know there's a search bar at the top? Type in the search of a keyword or whatever, type in a phrase and watch how many pictures show up, and you didn't even realize it. That's how you'll freak out. Or you wanna freak out, like how Ryan pointed out, the CEO of Unplugged, if you have, a scanner, I don't know if it's a black light, all the lights in the room and your phone's there, and you have a scanner that see these lasers and lidars that turn on, you'll be able to see just how many sensors your phone is shooting out, then you'll probably be more concerned about that. But nothing is more nefarious than because you don't really own your phone ever. We're your product. You're scanning everything, and Microsoft wants in on that game. This was just announced last week. You heard about this Microsoft screenshot thing that they're doing? Screenshotting? They're doing the very same thing that Apple is doing and scanning everything put in there because, hey, you're storing on OneDrive. What if you're storing something that shouldn't be stored there? How will Microsoft know? Because now they become legally liable for whatever you're putting there. The only way they can find out is by scanning everything you put into your OneDrive. And if it's documents, images, videos, whatever you're putting there, whatever you're storing, if you think you're safe by storing it on someone else's computer, you're just right. So, this is to say that you're trying to get us everywhere with everything. Like, I use the example of, an Apple iPhone. The Apple iPhone, you think you ever own your phone, truly own your iPhone? They're the ones with every operating system will either remove features or add features that you might like. Hell, Apple is removing the fricking clown emoji because it's a far right dog whistle. What? But you put freaking pregnant hen pictures or emojis on that thing? Come on, you get that's why we need the clown emoji, okay? So, they do that, and they ram down your throats all these different things you don't want. One thing that was a really big concern was CSAM. I can't spell it out for you, or my stream's gonna be taken down from but don't even Google it either, because you might end up on the wrong site too. But the thing is, this is a client-side scanning that, Apple is was supposed to implement, but there was a backlash. But they're still kind of doing that thing and on your Mac also. And now Microsoft runs in on the game. This whole screenshot thing on Windows 11. Interestingly enough, Microsoft started announcing, "Hey, just a reminder that Windows 10 end of life is next year." Mhm. And, like, so prominent, and now they're putting the banners up on your computer to remind you that your computer's gonna be obsolete, it won't be secure, upgrade to Windows 11 today. Windows 11 is mostly all cloud-based. I hate Windows 11. I mean, the big attraction to Windows 11 for me was being able to use an Android runtime on it, and even that failed. Microsoft, you can't do anything right, man. So stupid. But go reading some of your other comments that I wanna finish off because these was some of these kind of challenging what I had reported before. So, if someone's telling me that these are Samsung, despite the fact that Unplugged sent me their information and telling me that this is, uh, these are Samsung sensors, I have and I'm gonna tell you straight up because they stamped it. I have the confidential specs of the device, including other plans that they have for this phone, other options for it, okay? That's what they sent me. So when someone comes along and says one of the guys who had this phone made, says it's made by Sony and has the same camera as iPhone, that's why it looks familiar, keep investigating so we know if it's legit. When I tell you that it makes more sense that this is Samsung because first off, Unplugged told me, and secondly, these are the same, at least the camera arrays and sensors, they basically almost match what the Samsung S21 series had, because that one had a 108 megapixel camera, which is what this one is. That's why it makes sense. Like, "Oh, it's the same one," probably, because they even label it right back here. There is no 108 megapixel for an iPhone. Never existed. So, I have that's I have legitimate gripes with a statement like that, because then I ask, "Show me the proof or point me the direction of which this is so I can either correct the record if I'm wrong or maybe you're wrong." And then the other one, a follow-up saying, "It is a Sony camera." I'm being told again by someone that has not provided anything to back up their claim, even though I asked. Like, "Tell me, what do you mean? What is it?" So, I will reach out anyway because this is the response I've had already because I did a video. I don't think this one's on Rumble though. I did a video where I asked the question, "Is the unplugged phone, is it a Techno Mobile Spark 20 Pro?" They look remarkably the same, but there are big differences between the 2. And when I broke it all down, I did my reaction video because someone brought some attention to me. I did all that. I was like, "I don't think it's the same phone." So then I reached out to Unplugged for a reaction, and I included it at the end of the video. I included the statement from Unplugged, Ryan Patterson, the CEO himself, responding to that. And, uh, I have a direct pipeline to the CEO. So if there's questions that some of you have had, concerns, when you posted them and I feel that it's a worthwhile feedback, I send it up the pipeline. I do. It's like, "Hey, look, I think this is a legit concern, or this is a legit question that should be answered." And I've called them out, says, "You guys need to put this on your website. You guys left it out," and things like that. So I have done them, and to Unplugged's credit, they have responded to that, and, um it feels like I developed a relationship with him, but even Ryan, when he called me, a week ago, he's like, "I don't want people to think that you're not just you're shilling for us, but that you work for us." I do not someone asked me on X, I do not work for Unplugged. I will not get paid by Unplugged. Nothing of the sort. I just been doing a service to those of you that are, following my coverage, and I've enjoyed covering this because, hey, I've had exclusive information on this device, and it is to that point, which is why everybody's been asking me these questions. Guess what? All of them were asking me on my first video from back in March. So most of the comments that came over the weekend, I'm scrolling through all of them. There's like dozens of comments. Almost all of them have been exclusively on my first video, and people talking to me as if I haven't already done all the research because my first video is skepticism. Like, "What the hell is this thing?" Well, I've already done the research. I interviewed the CEO, I unboxed the video, I did a freaking review. That thing took me 3 weeks to put together. Because I started doing prep work as soon as I found out I might get my hands on the device ahead of time. And to Umpqut's credit, they sent me the phone. And then I find out that Eric Prince himself wanted to be on my show. Like, but the CEO and just in case, let's, let me be on the show. And I'm glad it worked out because I was able to look the CEO directly in the eye and ask him the hard questions. I even clipped that out from the interview. Is this a honeypot? Oh, you're still what? Dude, you're up late too. Appreciate Philip. On your Samsung, do you use Samsung Play Store only, or you don't mind me asking? I think the question you're asking is it on my Samsung? Well, I think we're guessing this. I have a Play Store, right? And Samsung already has their own app store, which depending on which phone you're using, it's either called the Galaxy Store or in their latest, I think is One UI 6.1. Now they just call it Store, but technically still the Galaxy. I use both, and furthermore, I also use F-Droid, which is the open source alternative, which is just open source apps. So I do use that too. And just because I'm testing it, because the audience has asked for it, I also installed the Unplugged phone on it because I wanted to use the Unplugged suite of apps, and that has been a test because people are they get a little confused. I try to explain this to them. Like, "Look, folks, Unplugged is not gonna make money off the hardware. That's just the reality. If you can make money off hardware, BlackBerry would still be around making phones. BlackBerry is only focused on software, which is to my ever-dying sadness, my heart just cries out for a freaking BlackBerry, but that's why. There's no money in hardware. Samsung, they discount their phones like crazy. whenever you're gonna see launch day, just look at the discount they give you. It's like, dude, you're pretty much giving me the phone for half price. That's right. Take advantage of the trade-in. You know who doesn't do that? Apple, because they have this cult that you're gonna buy it no matter what. We don't have to put this on discount, but we'll give you some freebies, like maybe a $25 gift card to the Apple. No, that's what they'll give you. But they're not gonna give you anything else. They're gonna give you a discount because you're hardwired in. Say, "Give me the new thing, please." It looks the same as the last one. It doesn't matter. It's the new thing. It has the QBs. Well, with Samsung, the reason it's important, and then back to the question you asked me, the reason the Galaxy Store is important, I did try this experiment earlier this year. I did wipe my Samsung phone and try using just, the Samsung App Store, the Galaxy Store, and not the Google Play Store. So I didn't sign in with my Google account, but I did sign in with my Samsung account. I learned very quickly that you can't use this as an unplugged phone or a disabled phone. Samsung is like, "Hey, these Samsung apps need Google Play services." Why, Samsung? Why does it need it? It's your freaking phone. You can't use all of Samsung's services without Google Play. So I had to sign in to be able to use the other apps because some of those apps are only in the Play Store and not on the Galaxy Store, and some of those apps are available in both places, which makes it very confusing when you're updating. You do some of the updates on the Galaxy Store and not on the Play Store, and vice versa. It really is confusing. Good luck the one where you could personalize your phone to a different style. If you're not using Good Lock, use it. You can change everything on your phone. It's really awesome. But that one is supposed to be on the store only, a Galaxy Store. And the reason the Galaxy Store is important is because certain applications would say "made by Samsung" or "made for Samsung." And that's important because that means they're optimized to work with your Samsung device. One of the big gripes about the Galaxy Play Store from developers is that when they develop an app, they gotta make sure it works with all these different formats, screen sizes, specifications of devices, the resolutions. You know how exhausting it is for developer? That's why there's always, like, push out an update because something's broken or it doesn't look right or doesn't fit right. Then you have a freaking, BlackBerry phone with a 4.5 screen with a weird aspect ratio. It's like, "What the hell?" It's like, that's not the same thing as a tall, full 5-inch diagonal display. All those things are very important to, developers, which is why it's exhausting, because when they do it for an iPhone, it's one and done. They don't have to worry about anything else, but not so with the Android ones, where they have it's so frustrating, but they do it because billions of people use them. So when it comes to Samsung, yes, they have 2 stores, but some of those apps are optimized for it, which is very important for the Samsung experience. Let me tell you something that you guys probably don't know or maybe have forgotten about. Some of you, and I have some followers that are outside of United States. Some of you are as far as India, have checked in. So those of you in India and the Middle East, you might know about this. Have you ever used the Samsung powered by Tizen OS? And some of you are probably wondering, what the hell is Tizen OS? Well, the previous generation of these watches was Tizen OS. Do you have a Samsung smart TV? That's Tizen OS. Do you have the Samsung smart monitor M7, M8, or I think it's M9 now, I think they just announced it? You're welcome. Appreciate Philips. Are you familiar with any of those things? Those are all running Tizen OS. There used to be Samsung Tizen OS smartphones. They were more geared to the developing world, and countries, so they were more like Far East Asia towards the Middle East. I think there were some in Latin America because they were kinda competing against Android One. If you're familiar with the Lite version of Google Apps, there's even Instagram Lite, there was Twitter Lite, there was Facebook Lite, there was Skype Lite. Microsoft wanted in on the action, there was Google Lite, there was Google Photos Lite, just, something that was for older, less spec devices. So Samsung's counter to that was Tizen OS powered smartphones. They had their own it was like their own WeChat, their own messenger service. They had, of course, all those duplicate apps you find on your Samsung, well, they were on Tizen OS first, and they had their own Galaxy Store on there. They had watches that worked with it. Google panicked because Google was like, "Holy smokes, they're our number 1 OEM. We can't lose Samsung." Samsung was trying to break away from Google. they were gonna be the other operating system. Because of all this antagonizing against CCP, we don't have we have Harmony OS, but it's not available everywhere because CCP bad. That's why Huawei keeps their Harmony OS, but they had to develop their own OS. It used to be running Android. All the licenses went away when Western government said, "We're not dealing with you because the CCP is directly involved with Huawei." Same thing as you're seeing with TikTok ban. I said, "You got the CCP's got to divest from TikTok in order to remain." That's what they say. I'm against the TikTok ban. I hate TikTok, but I'm against TikTok ban. Very, very slippery slope. That puts me at odds with other conservatives that I respect and some that I consider friends. But anyway, back to the whole OS thing. So we were gonna have Tizen OS. And I was really excited to see that come because I wanted to be more diversity after the death of Windows Phone, after the death of BlackBerry 10, after the death of WebOS, which came back with LG when they bought it and turned them into TVs. And I love WebOS for TV. And then there was a Nokia with Symbian. What happened to that? So what happened? Well, Google bought Samsung. They had their own developers conference together, and now they're like this. Samsung did Bixby. You think that was by accident? They wanted to do their own thing, but because it wasn't really robust, it was exclusive to Samsung devices. Like, hey, Google, maybe we can speaker, like maybe we can pair up, and then you can help us with what do you call it? Strengthening our Bixby experience. Look, well, I recommend you guys go check out Who's the Boss video where he compared Google, the assistant, Siri, and Bixby, and just see how many more robust features Bixby has, despite not being as smart as the assistant or as knowledgeable as Siri. And that's a very interesting video because I use Bixby more now with my smart things experience with Samsung. Speaking of Samsung, by the way, some of those apps are in here with the Unplugged phone. That I mentioned that before. It's like, yeah, that's interesting. I noticed that some of these apps that Unplugged now were on the Unplugged phone app. So let me show you Lightroom. This one's Lightroom for Samsung, and it shows that I'm signed in through my Samsung account. And because I signed in here, it's also signed in. So, that's pretty interesting. But signed in. It says I'm subscribed. Go figure. But anyway, I think I covered enough about the unplugged one. And for those of you that are tuning in very, very late, first, thank you so very much. I've been going on for almost double the length. This was supposed to happen earlier, but and I sound like a broken record. I did this stream earlier at 8:30 p.m. Pacific. It was it was unbearable. I have the same setup as before. The difference is studio, StreamYard, and I was streaming to LinkedIn as well. And the stream was just awful. Dude, why like, the audio came out good, but the stream was not only laggy and out of sync in some cases, but it had dropped frames. I was quite frankly embarrassed. So I took down the stream afterwards. I had to go delete it off X, 'cause I streamed there. I deleted it off LinkedIn, 'cause I streamed there. I made it private on YouTube and Rumble, and I wanted to go to sleep after I worked out, but I'm like, "Was it really was it me?" I reached out to streamers, but was it me? So I felt like I owed it to myself to try again, and I'm on Rumble Studio, and the stream is considerably better, and a lot of you have been joining me this late in the evening, and you also let me experiment with my first campaign, so I appreciate you all, checking that out, and even though I fulfilled my obligation, I wanna read that script again because I did add a little flavor to it, and supposedly, if I don't read the script as is, it might not count, but I scripts, but I was Tropic Thunders, I don't read the script reads me. That's how I feel. I don't even know what that means, but let me read the script anyway, and then I'm gonna wrap up here. We have some more questions. Um, Make sure you download the Rumble app. Once you download it, search for my channel and follow the channel directly on the app. This will make sure that you get a notification every time we go live. Click the link in the description or pin live chats to download the Rumble app on your phone. It's free. If you prefer to watch us in the big screen, it's also available on for Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, Roku, LG, and Samsung TVs. All you need to do is search for Rumble. That's the script. It's also known as Google TV now, not Android. So Rumble, update that for yourself. And also, it's us. No, it's just me. So that's why I feel like, huh, I just gotta clean up that script a bit. So I did ask Rumble, what if I add my own flavor to it? Will that still count? But some people were like, I think you should just maybe if you're gonna do a funny voice, do a funny voice, but try to stick to the script. Doing my own voice, it's me. But seriously, go check out Rumble. And if it's if it works out this Friday, my long-awaited stream, I'm probably gonna break into 2 though, where I'll be just like I did the Benghazi, 13 hours, I fact check with the hero that was there, one of the CIA targeters that was stationed there in Benghazi, and we live streamed, we watched, reacted, and fact checked 13 hours to get the entirety of the movie. I wanna do the same for Big Short because if you're not familiar, check out this wasn't a live, so it was a premiere on YouTube, but for everybody else, you're on Twitch, X, you should be able to see it too. I did a video finally covering and giving my commentary on the whole squatters thing. So I want you to check that out, because I just posted it. I finally did another real estate video that's way, way overdue. But the reason it was way, way overdue is because this thing happened and pushed everything back. It's like it really threw everything for a loop. But I'm glad I got that out of the way. I filmed 2 episodes back to back. It was a squatters' rights commentary on the 2 cases. One of them in New York that made national news, and then one that didn't make national news but was covered on Stossel, that occurred here in Los Angeles. And because, LA is the area that I serve in Orange County, I had to cover that. For those of you that are unfamiliar with me and new to my show, I'm a real estate broker in Southern California. I'm also a property manager. I'm in construction as well. Construction is my bread and butter. That's what I do. And I've worked with the banks back in the REO days. That's what we call them. It was housing bubble 2.0. You probably only know the one market crash of housing, which was back in 2007, 2008. That's what the Big Short covers, which is why Adam McKay only tells half of the story. He tells it in a very entertaining way, which I still recommend anybody, even though it has a leftist spin. I recommend people to watch The Big Short, but it's only half of the story, and I want to give you the rest of it. So that's why I want to react to that with you. But I imagine break it in two because I have so much to say about that. But I'll see what happens. Otherwise, it's going to be such an extreme. I don't know if I'll be able to do it all in one sitting. But um, I come from that world. Dealt with squatters. I had to deal with evictions. I had to deal with, sellers and buyers that were not cooperating. I even did a Rumble exclusive, you can check it out, and I'll be promoting it again around Halloween. It's called The Transaction That Almost Killed Me, and I finally put it all into one in the frame that I wanted to, and you can find it here on Rumble. I did it when I was doing Rumble exclusives as a partner, because I partnered up with Rumble. I was able to tell that story, but, it's PTS for me, okay? Because I'm not exaggerating when I say I almost died. That's why I use smartwatches because, to check a message on your phone while you're driving is really stupid. Back then, there was only one way, pick up your phone, but that's how I got connected to the smart wearable thing. Anyway, there were a couple of things that I did wanna cover, or maybe I already covered them. Let me just make sure I get we're talking about privacy, privacy OS. Is it important? Is it not? And then we have to unpack the whole Sony debacle. Uh, this is built by Sony? If it is, that'd be pretty cool. But it's not a Sony Xperia, and Sony doesn't use MediaTek. They use Qualcomm. That's why I have a great issue with that, and besides, Unplugged them themselves, and this is built in Indonesia. They told me straight up, they designed it themselves. They had it manufactured in Indonesia. Their company is based out in Israel, and their CTO, goodness, what's his the CTO was part of the company that Pegasus. So I kinda teased it, so I'll tell you now because that's what some people have concerns. If it's not the concern with Eric Prince, it's the concern with the fact that someone was in Pegasus. You're not familiar with Pegasus. It's one of the most notorious spyware apps that are out there and being sold by governments. But interestingly enough, supposedly our 2 letter agencies didn't wanna buy Pegasus. Why do they need to spend the money on that when they have big tech to do it for them? But they didn't buy Pegasus supposedly. And those of you that are unawares, this was both for iOS and Android. It was an exploit that if you hit that link, it would install this malware into your phone, and you'd be none the wiser, and it's leaching all of your data, all of your contacts, all of your messages, all of your videos, and cameras and all that. It's following everything, and if you try to find that spyware in your phone, it self-destructs as if it was never there. So by the time you find out, it's already too late. That's what Pegasus was. So that's why people express concerns. Wait, one of the Pegasus guys is working for Unplugged, and he's their chief technology officer? Pretty freaky stuff, right? Well, if anything, from a business standpoint, that's the kinda guy I'm gonna want because, hey, I want Pegasus to get their hands on the Unplugged phone. That's the way I see it. But, I can neither confirm nor deny that he will be on my show. But if you really want to know, you will like this video, subscribe. You hit the notification bell, Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you're watching to make sure you stay in the know. Follow me across the socials at @TheAndreSegovia on X _Andresegovia. This is the way I finish off my videos. And as I'm finishing up, I think I did cover everything. Huh. Yeah, this was the comment that I wanted to mention. Oh, I'm sorry, I mentioned track phone. That's why I wanted to see this, because somebody asked me about Xfinity. This was, WRay Dub 11 over on YouTube. Xfinity uses Verizon towers. Any idea if the nano SIM will work with the Xfinity? Because somebody else said that Verizon supposedly claimed that they will not support the unplugged phone. But yet I showed on my review that I used it on Verizon for my testing. So it and the answer, I said, "I suppose an active SIM from an existing line should technically work. The new SIM, a new line, I'm not sure it would." So then WRay W11 says, "I think I'll try it. Worth the restocking fee to find out." To which I responded by saying, "If you do, let me know how it goes." So to that, somebody asked me on one of the streams, "What about TrackPhone? Does it work on TrackPhone?" And I'm like, "That's interesting because that on TrackPhone, you can go to." I like it when websites, these phone manufacturers, cell phone providers do this. You can go type in your IMEI to see if they support it. So with the TrackPhone, I type in the IMEI of this phone, and it says, "Yes, they support it on the network." Well, there you go. And to clear off any doubts if it'll work with your network, Patriot Mobile's probably they have an entire page devoted just to Unplugged. So at least they're supporting it, and they write off AT&T and T-Mobile. So just letting you know about it, because somebody else expressed that they were having issues with the phone on AT&T. It said that whenever they were on phone calls, the the other person would sound like they're in a tunnel, and the receiver here wouldn't be able to hear them. And I asked, "Well, are you on a VPN? Maybe that could be why, because there's not enough data in case it's like a voice over internet call." That didn't work for him, so he tried it on VPN, off VPN, tried it on Wi-Fi and without Wi-Fi, and the experience was the same. So, like, maybe it is a microphone issue, but he tried going the route of AT&T, and AT&T supposedly told him they don't support the phone. And I said, "Well, kinda say that. It's it's not a phone that they sell directly, and their technical support don't have an obligation to help you with said device because it's not one that they sell. But, that doesn't work. No, this should work on GSM carriers fine." But the question was, will it work on Verizon? Because they're technically a little different and a little more tyrant, than others. I was able to successfully use a BlackBerry Key 2 on Verizon. And what was that? It was the spiritual successor to this, and one of my favorite reviews that I ever done because it's such a gorgeous BlackBerry. It was the red one, the red edition. My goodness, red, so beautiful. And that was a GSM only device. So there was no support for the CDMA side of Verizon, and, I got it to work. So, yeah. Anyway, those are the last ones, and I guess this is the comment. This was the comments that kicked off his privacy importance, and I'll read just the last part of it. "Phone privacy is about behavior and abstinence. True privacy services and devices do not make grandiose promises. All the promises that Unplugged offers are much better delivered on more popular FO, free open source custom ROMs with much cheaper phones. I won't even name one, so I can't be called a shill. I'm a shill for truth and privacy, that's all." Now, I would, almost agree. This is, Watchman Privacy over on YouTube that wrote this. would almost agree watching in privacy if it wasn't for the fact that those lesser phones are truly lesser phones. And if you take your Google Pixel 8, for example, and you de-Google it, well, congratulations, Google built a silicon in conjunction with Samsung because they're the ones that built the chip. So, if you de-Google it, but their AI is technically built into the hardware, how are you gonna de-Google the hardware? Hmm. We need someone like Unplugged to exist, and if we want a better version 2 of this, we have to support them with their, devices. And in my case, as I'm testing, the Unplugged service suite of apps, it would tell me, "Hey, for the same price that I pay for ExpressVPN annually, it's basically getting all that and more through Unplugged. You can do it, great, I'll do that." All the accessories that for the phone, I bought them. Unplugged provided me their device. They didn't guarantee them anything other than, "Hey, I'm gonna do 2 videos on it. I'm gonna unbox the phone when it arrives, and I will review it." But no, I never gave them access to my review ahead of time. I didn't ask for any editorial input. I did it all for my own free will, and I think they like hell, I like I put my heart and soul into that thing. Like, I did so much for that thing, like, I couldn't just do a straightforward review. That's why I broke it into 3 sections. 1, Google devices. Section 2, the unplugged phone. Section 3, why? Like, is it really worth it? And I feel like a broken record, I'm gonna talk about it again. But that's where I'll leave it. Thank you so very much for joining me on the Segovia Show Tech Talk. This was a much stronger stream. Thank you very much, Rumble. Shout out to you. I'm happy to be a Rumble partner. But man, I this is gonna make things a little different if I can't use StreamYard. So I need help in trying to get StreamYard to funnel through into Rumble Studio, but if StreamYard's gonna be messing up the stream the way, it apparently seemed, I'm gonna be relying more on Rumble Studio. But Rumble, I need a few features here that are not available that only StreamYard has, so at least this was free, so I do appreciate you so very much. So to all team over at Rumble, keep doing what you do. I love the stuff you've done with locals, it's made it more fun to do it too. And for everybody else who's very much watching me this late, I was always supposed to go for about 45 minutes, give or take. It's been an hour 30 plus. You guys made this possible. And for those of you that tuned in over on YouTube and Twitch and even X, thank you so very much. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. And if you're watching this on the replay, I hope I did justice to the screen that I had to take down. That's where I'll leave it. It's very late. I gotta go get some sleep eventually. So I'll leave it there. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next one. And Rumble, it might be on Friday. Thank you. Notification bell. See you there.